Season 3 of Black Ops 6 Rank Play has finally dropped, so for today I have for you the new updated meta setups that you should be using if you want to actually climb the ranks. Ladies and gentlemen, 19 years later, we finally got the rank play. Right now I'm only diamond just because everyone did get D-ranked, but I usually do hit Eerie or get pretty close to Eerie every season, so I would say I'm pretty credible. Now they might add firing range in the future for like search and destroy, but right now basically everything's going to be the same. We're just going to be going over the updated class setups just to make sure you guys have like, you know, the absolute meta things. So one gun that is very good now is going to be the C9. It was already a very good gun, and I'm pretty sure it's G8 in the CDL, so I'm surprised it's even allowed in rank play. But the Jackal PDW just got a range deduction, making the C9 even stronger now, and so I highly recommend to use the C9. There's just a decent amount of recoil, and so that's why for the build we are going to be using the vertical foregrip just to maximize that horizontal recoil control. Gives us about like 32%, and so the gun's going to be so much easier to use. I do see some people using the Ranger foregrip, which is very good. You get less dead slides, and if I'm playing pubs or Warzone, I'll always use the Ranger. But in this one, when I'm playing against like iridescents almost every game, I can't afford to miss a single bullet, and so usually I will go for a little bit more accuracy over a little bit more mobility, and so that's why I recommend the vertical. Now for the barrel, our damage range, our bullet velocity is 550 meters per second. So if we cut that in half, we have about like 27 meters of hit scan range, and our effective damage range is 20 meters. And so basically for majority of your gunfights, you should have hit scan. You're going to be able to do a decent amount of damage, and I just really recommend the long barrel over the reinforced unless you have a high ping. Like if I'm on like 50 plus ping, I'll swap quickly over to the reinforced, but if I'm on a decent ping, I'll use the long barrel and I just do a little bit better. Do you want everything in Call of Duty without having to play the game? Then you should check out my long-term sponsor, Guapsi. Guapsi is a team of real players that will load onto your account to legitimately grind anything that you wish, and this goes for all the recent Call of Duties and many other games. They will even get you iridescent so you can flex all the cool rewards. Seriously, there's no risk involved because they don't use an unlock tool. They legitimately play in your account, and I've been with them for a long time and haven't seen a single negative review. And so if you want to save your time and energy, check out guapsi.com. Now for the rear grip, we are using the ergonomic grip just to cut down on all those delays. You don't want any delays in the game because then you're gonna die, especially when if you miss one bullet, you are dead. So you can't afford to have those, and that's why the ergonomic is an absolute must. This is also going to increase that jumping ADS speed, so if you do jump around the corner, it's going to feel a little bit more fluid. For the stock, I recommend the infiltrator stock. People use the other ones as well, but if we look at all these stats and things like this, like yes, you can walk faster and crouch walk faster, but I would rather strafe faster because like that's what you're always doing. You're strafing 18% faster with the infiltrator. There's a reason why a lot of very good players use the infiltrator over the others. And then lastly, instead of a muzzle, we are going to be using the recoil springs just to get a lot of horizontal vertical recoil control and gun kick control, so then the iron sights are more usable. And like I was saying before, there's not that much vertical recoil in the weapon. There's a lot of side-to-side bounce. This eliminates that side-to-side bounce. Right there is a very good 5 attachment C9 that I highly recommend. Now before we get into the Ames, let me show you guys the GPR, which the GPR does kill faster if you hit the headshots, and typically you don't like just straight hit headshots, so that's why I don't see really anyone with the GPR. Other than that, like if you're shooting in the body and things, it takes a lot of bullets to kill. But anyways, the iron sights are not that good, so rock the Kepler. For the muzzle, we're going to be using the compensator. This is actually better if you play aggressive, but the gun doesn't have any recoil, so like yes, the port, it makes it so the first few shots have no recoil, but the gun already has no recoil, so I'd rather have like the overall recoil pattern be more compensated, and you can do that by using the compensator. And then for the barrel, we are using the reinforced barrel just to increase that bullet velocity and that damage range. There really isn't any damage range or bullet velocity on this gun, so we're just going to use this just to get the best of both worlds. You could even take off the balance stock, add the overpressured rounds, then use the long barrel, so then you're maximizing the overall damage output. It's just for me, I would rather be a little bit of a harder target to hit because the gun sometimes does take a long time to kill, and so that's why I recommend the balance on here, increasing the aim walking, the movement, the hip fire movement speed, and the strafing movement speed. And then lastly, for the rear grip, I recommend the ergonomic. Typically in the ARs, I do use the quick draw, but the ADS speed's already so fast with the weapon that you can do the ergonomic, and it's going to feel a lot more beneficial. Now for the first Ames class on this list, then we'll go over the Jackals. So the Ames, there's a couple different builds that you guys can be using. There isn't a singular set one that everybody uses, and so really personal preference, and I'd like to switch it up a lot. I don't like to just use the same one. If I were to pick one forever, it's going to be this one. Just so for the muzzle, we're going to have it's very good up close, very good at long range. I was always using the ported, but I'll show a different Ames Ames class where I have the ported. For this one, I do recommend the compensator. And then for the optic, we're going to use that Kepler microflex. Then we're going to go over to the reticle and we're going to swap that over to the green dot, or you can do like the purple or the blue. Just make sure you do that. A lot of people don't. And then for the barrel, recommend the reinforced barrel. This is a very weird gun for the damage range. And so I see a lot of people using the long barrel or the reinforced barrel. Just make sure you're using one of the barrels, and like it basically gives you an extra couple meters of damage range to where like certain engagements you are going to kill faster, and it's going to feel like you're on that better ping with the reinforced. But if your ping is already very good, actually I'll show you guys a different build with the reinforced. I mean with the long barrel. For the underbarrel, we're going to be using the vertical foregrip. Again, if you're warmed up on the game, you're playing aggressive, use the ranger foregrip. You are going to do a lot better. Just for me, I'm a fan of like literally no recoil on my gun. For the rear grip, we are going to be using the quick draw grip, increasing the ADS speed. So if we do need to re-snap onto the target, it's going to be a little bit easier. So, and it increases that true sprint to fire speed. And I just prefer the quick draw on this build over the ergonomic. Right here is a very good 5 attachment Ames. Now for the other Ames class that I want to show you, then we'll go over the Jackal, which is still the better SMG for sure. For the muzzle on here, we're using the ported compensator. Then we're going to tie that in with the recoil springs. Recoil springs really don't give us that much, but it is somewhat noticeable and kind of is really fun to use them. And then for the rear grip, where we have the quick draw grip, making the weapon snappier, same optic. And so the downside of this class is that there's a little bit more side to side bounce, but there's no verticals. So like I've noticed I can rip people off headies like really easily and consistently. And then this one right here is gonna just have maximum range, so a little bit more recoil, but there's gonna be so much range on the gun. And if you're high as fuck, you want to use the compensator. But if you can hit that first shot, ported's definitely going to be better. So we just got the long barrel in there, maximizing the range. Then we tied that in with the over pressured rounds, maximizing that bow velocity, and then making the weapon a little bit snappier. Right there, very good build. Now for the last one on this list, and if you guys do find this video helpful, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, because I drop videos like this all the time. For the perks, I kind of rock the same thing always. I've been using the frags a lot more so for my ARs. SMGs, I'll usually use like a 7-tex on there just because you're constantly playing aggressive. Here's going to be the Strider, Kepler fast, quick draw. And then for the actual SMG, we are going to be using the gain twist just because they have banned every single barrel. Underbarrel, I recommend the vertical because there's a little bit of recoil on the gun, and now it doesn't do as much damage, so you have to hit more shots and it's more crucial. So I think the vertical is better for consistency, but again, you can do the Ranger if you're feeling pretty good. Then we tied that in with the recoil springs, giving us a little bit more of a horizontal gun kick and vertical recoil control. Going to be using that balance stock, increasing the aim walking movement speed, the hip fire, and that strafing. I've seen a lot of people like even simp use the infiltrator stock, and this one's not bad if you're just trying to get the strafe, but the balance, like this one gives us so much of every type that it's just hard not to rock that. Then lastly, for the rear grip, we got the ergonomic grip. You guys already know the reasons, and I think that is going to wrap it up for this video. I hope we get the Kilo or the AMAX. I think that would make ranked play so fun for at least like a week. I know some people wouldn't like that, but me personally, I think that would be fun because everything is basically the same. I hope you guys do have a good season. Subscribe. Deuces.